Now, hello everyone and welcome to Dartmoor Zoo. So my name is Frankie and welcome to the virtual talk on our Chapman and Grant zebra. We're also going to be mentioning our ostrich during this talk as they are located also in this enclosure and hopefully see them strutting around their paddock. So like I said, we'll be covering the conservation about these animals, about the species in general, and then about our wonderful individuals that we also have here at Dartmoor Zoo. Now, conservation-wise, the Chapman and Grant zebra are listed as least concern on the IUCN status. Now, that isn't to say that they don't have threats in the wild. They are sadly hunted for their fur and also eliminated to help with the agricultural lands and also to eliminate from the competition they have with domestic cattle. Now, both Grant and Chapman zebra are found within Africa and in very similar locations, however would live in very slightly different habitats. Now, you will often see the Chapman zebra in open savanna and grassland areas in eastern Africa, such as places like Botswana and Mozambique and even Zimbabwe. Now, the Grant zebra normally comes from northern Zimbabwe right down to Sudan in East Africa. Again, these guys would inhabit grasslands, but especially those with more scattered trees and a little bit more shade within their habitat. Now, the way to tell a Chapman and Grant zebra apart is actually by looking at their stripe pattern. Now, interesting fact about the stripes is every single zebra will have different stripes. It's a unique way to tell them apart, and it's very similar to our fingerprint and an individual to them. Now, like I said, to tell a Chapman and Grant zebra apart is by looking at those stripes. So a Grant zebra will have the distinctive black and white stripes, so really distinctive and normally really bright in colour. Whereas a Chapman actually has what we call a shadow stripe. So if you look at the white stripes, you will actually notice there's a faint grey stripe inside that. Now, like I said, that is that shadow stripe and actually makes them look a little bit dirty from a far distance. So if they are further down in the paddock, have a look for one clean zebra and two slightly more dirty looking zebra, and that's the way to tell our Chapman and Grant zebra apart. Now, these animals are herbivores, meaning that they only really eat grasses, they might eat some shrubs and also some roots as well if they can get hold of it. Now, they're one of the only herbivores that have actually got top and bottom incisors, meaning that they have more of a cutting action rather than a yanking action that most herbivores would have. Now, the reason this is so important is actually you'll find zebra are often followed around by other species of antelope. And the reason for this is that cutting action actually leaves the nutritious grass underneath, meaning that those other species of antelope are going to go around getting more nutrients from the grasses that they're eating. So that's why you'll often find other species of antelope around zebra. Now, to tell you a little bit about our zebra that we have here at Dartmoor Zoo. So, like I said, we have got two Chapman and one Grant zebra. So our two Chapman zebra are called Forrest, who is actually 13 years old. We have then got Parsley, who is actually just 3 years old. And then we have got Hugh, who's our Grant zebra, obviously named after Hugh Grant, who is just 3 years old as well. Now, the three of them do get on really well, and we actually do what we call target training with our zebra. So I'll just grab the target, give me 2 seconds. So this is one of the targets. So this is actually Forest target. Now, the target training that we do with our zebra is all part of medicinal purposes training only. So Forrest, because he's a little bit older, being 13, he's actually a little bit more further on in his training rather than Parsley and Hugh. So the target training we're currently getting them to do is stand up against the target with their nose pressed against here. And what we'll then do is a thorough health check on the body. Now, that is stage 1 of their training. Stage 2 is then actually we then start checking out their feet, maybe give them their hooves a bit of a cut down if we need to, and be smoothing them off as well. Now, step 3, and this is where Forrest is currently undertaking at the moment, is he is doing training to help him with medicine training, and vaccination training. So how we do this is actually we get a small little screw and we'll pop it into his or near his bum, onto his rump or onto the neck and apply a little bit of pressure. Now, this is to mimic the vaccination training, and like I said, any vaccines that these animals would need to get yearly, so they're just used to the vets coming in and giving them the vaccinations. Now, with the targets, all of them are a different colour, a different shape, and made from a different texture. So like I said, this is Forrest's one. It is rectangular in shape, as you can see. It's also red in colour and made from fire hose as well. So he knows this is his one to go to. Now, the boys are all still quite young at the moment. In the wild, they've been known to live to around about 20 to 25, but in captivity have been known to even live up to 30 to 35 years old. So a long life to live within these guys. Now, to chat to you a bit about their stripes, there's lots of different theories to why zebras have stripes, and actually there's no confirmed theory exactly why they do have them. So the main theory that people know is actually they have stripes to help them camouflage within their grouping. So a group of zebra is often called a dazzle, as it's meant to dazzle their prey and predators around them. So often when you see lots of zebra together, it's difficult to know when one zebra ends and the next one begins because they're so close together. So that's the first reason, and probably the most common reason that everyone knows they've got stripes. Now, the second reason is actually apparently it stops mosquitoes or blood-sucking insects landing on their fur. So actually the stripes apparently confuse the insects and make it a little bit more difficult. So mosquitoes are less likely to bite zebra. Now, the third and final reason that's just been recently released is actually it helps with heat regulation. So it's actually been recorded that the hair and the fur on the black stripes are able to stand up, while those that have the white stripes and the white fur are able to lie flat down. So obviously releasing heat and helping with that heat regulation. Now I'll introduce you to our ostrich as well, who are probably wandering around in the enclosure and knowing them probably strutting up right next to the fence because they do like attention from the general public. So in this enclosure we've got Dorothy and Pete. Dorothy is obviously our female, and the way to tell her apart is she's got the light brown, more grey plumage, whereas Pete, our male, has got the black and white impressive feathers. Now these two have definitely swapped roles in their relationship, so Dorothy is a lot more aggressive than she should be, and probably more masculine in her appearance and also the way that she acts with her behaviour too. So she can often be seen, like I said, strutting up against the fence, which is normally something a male would be doing, as like I said, he's normally protecting his territory, but for some reason Dorothy's just decided that she's going to take on this role and definitely wears the trousers in the relationship. Now these two again have full access to the paddock. They can wander around wherever they fancy and also help themselves to grasses, but will also top up their diet too if required. Now they do get on really well, and we have had eggs off them, but sadly they have never been fertile to have offspring off these two. But like I said, they do get on really well together. Now ostriches aren't the cleverest of birds, sadly. They are the largest bird species, growing up to around about 9 feet tall. However, they aren't the brightest. So actually their eyeball is larger than their brain capacity. So like I said, not the smartest animal. They are actually able to kick forwards rather than backwards due to where their ankle is located too. And that kick can be incredibly impressive and has been known to kill lions if they were ever to come nearby and I'd be under a threat. They are also known to bury their heads in the sand. So now this is a complete rumour, sadly. Ostrich actually lay their eggs in the sand, and these sand burrows that they've often built to lay their eggs in can range up to around about 2 feet in depth. So what will happen is obviously the ostrich will put its neck in. They'll often turn the eggs to make sure they don't get stuck and making sure that their baby is going to be nice and safe. Now what will happen is when the mum's head is often in the burrow, that's when it does look like they're burying their heads in the sand. But like I said, it's not for any reason. They're not hiding from any problems or issues. It is just they're hiding and turning their eggs when required. Now I think that's everything I've got to say about our zebra and our ostrich, but if you have any questions, head over to our Facebook page and ask them and someone will get back to you on that. And we hope you have enjoyed this virtual talk. Please write us a quick review on TripAdvisor, and thank you so much for visiting us, and we'll hopefully see you again soon. Thank you.